Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we will not be covering any news, but I will be answering a bunch of your questions, so go ahead and stick around. Now, before I jump into answering all of the questions, I do need to get something off of my chest. I have felt very attacked recently, and I have felt so attacked that I have developed this theory about how I am being attacked and who is attacking me and what it has led to. So let's do something and jump to the conspiracy corner.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Conspiracy Corner. My name is Bandrew, and this is a conspiracy that I have to share with you. I think that the lack of news is due to the news agencies trying to destroy my life. There's nothing to talk about. And I don't know why I am talking in that accent. Speaking into this microphone makes me want to sound like that. It makes no sense. By the way, this is a carbon microphone. A carbon microphone. The entire ploy here was to get into the conspiracy corner so I could speak into this microphone and use it. I think for all future conspiracy corners, we will need to use this microphone. Maybe. I don't know. That's the conspiracy! Let's go back to the show!
Well, that was a ridiculous bit, but get off my case. I wanted to use the carbon microphone. Full disclosure, I did buy this from Placid Audio at a discount. I don't know the extent of disclosures that I have to announce, but I still paid a lot of money for it, and I want to get my use out of it. And this is just something that I find so fascinating. This is a dead technology. Carbon microphones, this is what used to be in phones in the 80s, but it was also one of the first styles of microphones. And it's no longer manufactured, but here it is, a new microphone that uses a carbon element. And being that I'm a microphone nerd, that's amazing, so I had to buy it. And I can't really review it, because what are you going to say? It's a carbon microphone. It sounds like a carbon microphone. Cool. It's going to be more of a showcase that I have to do because I can't say anything. I can't criticize it. Oh, it sounds terrible compared to a modern day Of course it does. You bought it because it's supposed to sound like that. So that's what I'll be doing with it. And it's a really fun effect microphone that I'm going to enjoy using. And of course I will throw it on guitars and stuff and see what we get out of it because get as much use out of it as possible. That entire bit was just a setup for that. I don't think there is anything else that I need to say. We're just jumping right to the Ask Bandrew segment. This episode may be a bit shorter than usual, but hey, it's a relaxed day. It's a lazy Sunday. Is that the song from What's Their Faces? The Lonely Island Boys? Lazy Sunday, just two guys and we're having a good time, and I just got copyright striked. Let's go to the Ask Bandrew segment, because I'm rambling. And welcome back to the Ask Bandrew segment. If you have any questions, go to askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send in audio, video, and text-based questions. I do prefer audio and video because then I don't have to read. Also, you don't have to listen to me read. Also, we get to hear how you sound on your audio gear, and that is so much fun. Can you tell I have been drinking a lot of coffee? I have made a mistake. I stopped going to Starbucks, and now I brew a full pot of coffee, and I drink it. I drink the dang coffee, and I get way too hyper. This is a problem. First email comes from Brett. He says, "Hey, your channel helped me so much that I wanted to pay it forward. Last week you had a question about working from home. As an ex-video guy with a bunch of gear and nothing to do now but Zoom calls, I thought I would share. Originally, I tried solving all of the problems at the same time. Major fail. If you are just listening to this, please go to bandrewsays.com or youtube.com/bandrewsayspodcast because I have an image, a couple of images that Brett sent in, and it is a wild setup with so much going on. Then he goes on. Ultimately, a cheap IKEA desk and getting all the light stands off of the floor has changed my life. Having a physical mixer is nearly indispensable, in my opinion. I don't think that you've reviewed it yet, but the Blackmagic Designs A10 Mini is an amazing value, a really cheap and easy EQ, and expander and compressor in hardware, even if you don't need the video switching capabilities. Brett, thank you very much for sending in those pictures. The second setup looks clean, it looks great. I don't know about the camera angle, at least for a chubby dude like me. Having that camera looking right up at you would not work for me, but other than that, looks great. I did not know much about the A10 Mini. I know that Curtis Judd did a video on it, and I watched that. And as soon as I saw that, I thought I need to start streaming again. I need to have multiple camera angles and start streaming. And then I realized I don't have time for that, and I have nothing to stream. So I stopped myself from buying it. And I have found myself having this issue where I will buy gear with the intention of reviewing it and then letting it sit there for years. I have the Zoom L8 and the PodTrack P8 and the PodTrack P4 from Zoom. I have not used any of them sufficiently to actually do a review. And I know with a video switcher, even with those amazing audio functions, which does sound extremely helpful, I know I just would not use it enough to actually get around to reviewing it. So that is why I have not even purchased it, and I don't think I will. Because I don't do live streaming, I know if I buy it, even though I am excited about it, I ultimately would not use it. But if anybody is interested, go check out Curtis's video on the Blackmagic Designs A10 Mini. He did a full video on it. I did not remember the real-time, actual physical DSP processing. That's amazing. And that's a great value because it has multiple video switchers and everything. That's great. Secondly, we have a voice submission from some random person. Take it away.
Why?
Okay, person, I know this is a bit, why? I just asked why. What is he going to do with it? I'm going to give you a real response. To me, it sounds like you are lacking purpose in your life. And I know this is going to tick a lot of people off because he has been portrayed as Red Skull. Go check out some Jordan Peterson lectures. He advocates for you finding purpose in your life. And I think that is actually something that most people need. Most people do need purpose. I'm sure there are folks who don't care about that. They don't need that. They thrive without it. But a lot of folks do need something to work towards to find joy in life. So I will condense what Jordan Peterson says down for you very quickly. Clean your room. Go clean your room. It's the smallest thing you can do. I have a room. It's not as clean as it ought to be. I'm going to clean it. Look at that. I accomplished something. Then you'll find joy in doing that and you'll do something else. What about find the heaviest thing you can carry and carry it? That gives you at least something to start with, a purpose, a goal, and you can work towards that. And then once you find the heaviest thing you can carry and carry it, guess what? You can find something heavier and carry that. Now, I know it was a joke. Oh, I'm going to ask, why? Well, I gave you somewhat of a reasonable response, so hopefully you can find some purpose in your life. And I know people are going to be really upset that I even mentioned Jordan Peterson's name or suggested that folks might enjoy or benefit from finding a purpose or a goal in their life. I can tell you from personal experience. I'm going to go on a diatribe here. I'm going to share some personal life experience. Around 2013 to 2015, I was working a job. I didn't have any hobbies that I was working on. I didn't have any goals. I would just go to work. I would come home and I would sit there and I would do nothing but consume stuff. I would drink beer, way too much beer, and watch TV and watch movies, and I didn't have anything that I was working towards. It seems like a perfect life. Oh, I'm sitting down. I'm well off enough that I don't have to worry about where rent is coming from. I can buy a beer. Cool. This is what everybody dreams of. But I was miserable. I was depressed. I hated my life. Then I got a promotion I got transferred at work. And when I did that, I realized I've loved YouTube forever. I've been watching a bunch of YouTube. I have made videos on YouTube since 2005, and then I stopped. Why not start again? And I started podcasting in Geeks Rising, and I started podcasting myself. And that provided me this ever-changing goal. These goals that are pretty much unattainable because once you hit one, guess what? There's another one right at the end of that road. And that gives me purpose. That gives me something to work towards at all times. Does it get stressful? Hell yeah. Does it suck sometimes? 1,000,000%. But guess what you get to do? You get to troubleshoot that. You get to find out how to resolve those issues and overcome those hurdles. And it gives you so much joy when you do it. And I know it's getting all hokey and cheesy and, oh, look, he's talking about... I was doing this before Jordan Peterson was popular. It's something that I realized, I have this, I need this creative outlet, and I'm not doing anything with it, so I'm going to start doing it. And then I found joy, and I became a much happier person, and I quit drinking. That may have been a big contributing factor to it as well, but that was just for me. That was the right thing for me to do. Hopefully that was a sufficient answer to why I agree with that. Somebody's going to get that reference, and that's probably the greatest voice and cartoon of all time. I agree with that. Okay, we have another voice submission, this time from No Names Please. Take it away, good sir.
Hey, Bandrew, hope this finds you safe and well and doing good. Let me apologize right up front for the substandard quality of my audio recording. But in these challenging times, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. That said, I believe I have the 2020 Ask Bandrew question of the year. How do you like your pizza? Thank you so much for all you do. Sincerely, No Names Please.
No Names Please. Thank you very much for the question. How do I take my pizza? And I do apologize for not answering this in 2020. I'm only 6 months late. I apologize, but the question is still very relevant because guess what? I still love pizza. That's never going to change. Even if a doctor says you need to stop eating pizza or you will die, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die at some point anyway. Might as well kill myself in the socially acceptable way by eating myself to death. That got dark. How do I take my pizza? In a very boring way. I just like a plain pepperoni pizza. If I'm getting a little bit wild, hey, go a little bit light on the cheese. I want a little bit more of that sauce. I want to taste the pizza sauce, the tomato sauce, whatever the hell they use. And it's great. I did used to get a little bit weirder, and I would throw jalapenos and bacon on there. Get out of town. That is so tight. Jalapeno bacon pizza? Give it a shot. It sounds crazy. I promise you, it's delicious. It's bordering on a breakfast burrito on a pizza. Does it get better than that? Breakfast burritos are amazing. Pizza is amazing. Put them together? Get out of town. I hope that was a sufficient answer for you. No Names Please. Thank you very much. Next, we have a... is this a voice submission? This is a voice submission. Take it away. Person I do not know the name of.
Hello, Bandrew. My name's Justin. I'm an actor and podcaster based out of Brooklyn. I'm going to start streaming video games and wanted to invest in a decent mixer that I can use for streaming video games and also for multi-track podcast recording. I watched your review of the Go XLR, which was great, but at the end you noted that this wouldn't be a great mixer if you're also trying to do a multi-track recording. Can you recommend a mixer that would work for both use cases? Does such a mixer exist? Why doesn't a mixer like that exist? Thanks, I'm a big fan. P.S. If people are curious, I'm in an untreated room using a Samson Q2U on a cheap boom arm plugged into the Behringer UMC 404 interface.
All right, the question is a mixer that is good for streaming and for multi-track podcasting recording. First thing I am going to say, I am going to be 100% upfront. I am not terribly familiar with mixers. That is a realm that I have not dived into too deeply. So I am not really comfortable recommending much in that arena. I do know that there are some options from Soundcraft and a company called Allen and Heath. And I will link an article in the episode notes from the homerecordings.com. and it is an article about mixers, USB mixers that allow for multi-tracking. With my use, the only two that I have actually used that I could recommend would be the Rodecaster Pro and, to a lesser extent, the Zoom L8. I haven't used the Zoom L8 enough to fully recommend it. I don't know what the cons of that thing are. I don't know what its shortcomings are. I know the Rodecaster Pro gets a lot of flack because the preamps aren't the best. I believe it's the same with the Zoom L8 because they, if I'm not mistaken, they use the same pre's as the Zoom H6. Zoom H6 pre's, not very good. So I think you're going to run into the same issues there. But check that article that I link in the episode notes, and you may get some good ideas. Hopefully that's helpful. We have another voice submission, this time from Hugo in France. Take it away, Hugo.
Hey, Bandrew. I'm Hugo from France. First of all, I'm nervous. I'm doing this while English is not my mother tongue. At least it gives me some practice, you know. I wanted to say that your videos are what gave me the drive to dust my old AKG Perception 420 and to do stuff with it. Thanks a lot. I wanted to ask you a question about hardware compressors for voice. Why can I only find them on cheap mixers or on very expensive discrete hardware? I would like one that I could put between my mic and my audio interface, but I don't really understand why it should be more expensive than $50, for example. I feel like software compressors are not as good because you can't monitor them directly. I would love your input on this. Also, will you do a review of the Presonus PD70? It's a dynamic mic that looks like an SM7B and seemed to sound like a Rode Procaster for only $130. I'm interested and a review would be appreciated. Have a nice one and sorry for you and the audience for my poor English. Bye.
Hugo, thank you very much for the voice submission, and let me stop you with the apology right there. If you've ever been to the United States of America and heard people speak English here, you will know that you speak English more fluently and more eloquently than many people in the States. So do not apologize for that. And the entire apology thing from people who are speaking English who are not native English speakers kind of grinds my gears. I'm not saying that you are grinding my gears. I am saying that these are people who have mastered their own language and are speaking a second language. That is amazing. These are people that are bright enough to learn their own language extremely well and then learn a second language and be able to communicate clearly in that language. That is amazing. And I think it's so silly that people apologize for it. I understand the sentiment behind it, but please don't apologize. It's amazing that you have learned English and that you speak it so well. And I apologize myself for not speaking French. I apologize for not speaking any other languages. I'm a stupid person. So thank you for doing what you've done, for learning English. That's amazing. But with all of that out of the way, let's talk about your question. And it is about you wanting to run your microphone directly into a compressor and then into your audio interface. There's a very specific reason why that's not possible. The output from a microphone is going to be microphone level. The input that's required from compressors, the majority of compressors, I think all compressors that I'm aware of, would be line level. What line level is the output after a microphone has run into a microphone preamp and has been amplified. So out of the microphone preamp, you would then run that into the compressor. So the issue here is, if you're running a microphone directly into a compressor, it's not going to be loud enough. It's not the proper level for the compressor to work on it. So you can't do that. You would need some kind of outboard microphone preamplifier. You'd run the microphone into that. Then out of the microphone pre, you would then run that into the outboard compressor. Then out of that compressor, you would then run that into your audio interface using the 1/4 inch, because it would need to be a line level input then. There are a couple of audio interfaces that have something called inserts. That allows you to run out of the audio interface following the microphone preamp, and you run that insert out into the outboard gear and then run it out of the outboard gear back into the audio interface. That's very rare. I think Behringer has an offering there, and then once you get up to some higher end stuff, you do start to see those inserts as well. But that's the issue with the outboard compressor. You need to have a preamp. Now, as far as an all-in-one unit, the most affordable one that I can think of would be the DBX-286S. That's $270. I'm sure you've seen that already. That's just a single channel rack mount with the preamp, compressor, de-esser, denoiser, noise gate, and an EQ. I believe that's everything there. And you would run your microphone into that, then run out of the DBX into your interface. Other than that, it's going to get more expensive because you will need to buy the external preamp and the external compressor, and you're looking at a couple $100 each for that. So it gets pretty expensive pretty quickly there. DBX is probably the cheapest unless you can find an interface that does have those inserts, and then maybe the RNC. It's called RNC, which is really nice compressor. I can't remember who makes that. FMR Audio, I think. But that's a $200 device as well. So you're looking at $200. Nothing around $50 that I'm aware of. Hopefully that was helpful, Hugo. Thank you again for the great voice submission, and I wish you the best of luck. Next, we have a voice submission from Matt. Matt, take it away, good sir.
Hey, Bandrew. As my family's grown, my office has become relegated to the basement of my house. I'm in the process of building it out as a video and music mini studio and work from home space. I'm working as a videographer in marketing, so my audio equipment is really set up for being on location, like shotguns and pencil condensers. I'm currently recording this on an Octava MK012 with a hypercardioid capsule through a Motu M4. My question for you is this. What mic would you recommend for the following purposes? Podcasting, acoustic and electric guitar, teleconferencing, and singing. I know I'm looking for a jack of all trades. I'm planning on using the pencil condensers for drums and picking up an SM57 for bass. My space is not currently sound treated, but will be in the future. I'm looking to spend around $500-ish and already know I'm not the biggest fan of the SM7B on my voice. Thanks, man. Keep rocking.
All right, Matt. Thank you very much for the voice submission. Currently, I am speaking into the Octava MK012 with the hypercardioid capsule on it. I am maybe 6 inches off of this. I'm connecting to the Focusrite 18i20 2nd gen, so not the exact same setup as you, but close enough to give you a good analog. And the question is, what mic would I recommend for podcasting, conference calls, acoustic, electric guitar, singing, and do you want to spend $500? All right, you have the Octava MK012 with the hypercardioid polar pattern. My guess is you bought the kit. If that's the case, use the Octava with the cardioid pattern on your acoustic. That'll sound great. You don't have to spend any money there. Then we have the electric guitar. As you mentioned the SM57. Let me go ahead and throw this on and I will speak into this. Okay, now I am on the SM57. I did have to increase my gain to about 430, so we are almost 100%. And now I am maybe 3 inches, a couple inches off of the mic. Here's how it sounds. If you are looking for an electric guitar mic and you do have a limited budget, you can't go wrong with a 57. It is on everything, on every record. I know that's an exaggeration. That is not true. It has not been on every record, but it is an incredibly prominent electric guitar mic because it sounds great on the electric guitar. If you have that limited budget, spend $100 of your $500 on the 57 and you will be golden. And as you can hear, it works perfectly fine for spoken word as well. And I've seen people use it for singing too. You could spend $100 and be good to go. But let's go and do two more options. The first option that I have for an all-rounder, a jack of all trades, is the SE Electronics SE4400A. This is a 414 style microphone. It has dual brass capsules. It has 4 polar patterns. We have Omni, Figure 8, Cardioid, and Hypercardioid. 2 high-pass filters, a -10, -20 dB pad, and it just sounds great on everything that I used it on. It is $500, so it is the full budget, but if you want a studio workhorse for $500, I don't necessarily think it gets better than this because it is so versatile. It has everything that you need in terms of polar patterns, pads, high pass filters, all of that. So really a great sounding microphone. And if you just wanted one mic, this is probably what I would pick in that price range. But then we have what I think is the most interesting option. Now I am on the Rode NT1. This is about $270, and I think this is one of the best value for your money microphones out there. Sounds insane. It's not overboosted. It's not overly dark. It is a neutral sound. It's very easy to manipulate and get it to fit with different things because there's nothing protruding that is stabbing you in the ears. Great all-around microphone. Maybe not the best on everything, but definitely workable. I absolutely love this mic. It is one of my all-time favorites. And the reason I think this is the most interesting option is this is $270, so you could get this for singing, you could use this for voiceover, you could use this on the acoustic. I have done that to great results. You could use this on the electric as well, but because this is $270, you still have some budget. Grab the SM57 as well. Now you're up to $370. Let's call it $400 with tax and shipping, and you still have the Octava. So you have a small diaphragm condenser for your acoustic, you have an SM57 dynamic for podcasting, for electric guitar, for conference calls if you want it. You can use the MK012 for your conference calls and your podcasting. I thought it sounded great on you. I personally, hang on, let me pull this into frame. If you are just listening to the audio podcast, I apologize, you cannot see this. I use a small diaphragm condenser for my watch channel. This is the Neumann, I never remember the model, KM185. This is a hypercardioid small diaphragm condenser mic, and I will just have it right out of frame while I'm talking and showing a watch and doing all that stuff. So you can absolutely use a small diaphragm condenser for spoken word. Just be careful with the plosives and pay attention to the self noise. So that would, if I was willing to get multiple microphones, that's probably the route I would go in this range. Because you already have the Octava MK12, stick with that. SM57 for the electric. I know I'm repeating myself, but then the NT1, $270, $370, $400, and then you got $100 for pizza, bro. Matt, that's what I would do. Those are my options. That's my input. Hopefully that was helpful. And I apologize for repeating myself. It is early in the morning when I'm recording this section before I record the entire podcast. Let me drink my coffee now. Really weird that I stared right at you while I was drinking that. Okay, next voice submission.
Hello Bandrew, this is Snappy here, who has been running a channel for probably around 4 years by the time you are listening to this. I have been watching your microphone reviews for quite a while now. I've seen all of these different other channels that you also run alongside your main podcastage channel, and I have been creating a very wide variety of different content types on my main Snappy channel recently, and I'm just wondering if I should separate that into its own subcategory type channel things, if you know what I mean, because if someone subscribes off one of my tutorials, for example, then they may not necessarily be interested or even watch at all some of the other gaming videos on other games I may play. Yes, they may be gaming videos, which is in that genre itself, but the subgenres of subgenres of subgenres, and at the time of recording, you just uploaded your first video on your Watchcastage channel. It's essentially starting from scratch again, and I don't want to have to go through the monetization process again. Do they make that any easier? No, you yeah, I would not look forward to doing that if I did start a new channel. Anyway, that is all I really wanted to get your advice on. So, yeah, thank you very much for listening to me. I will pass the camera back over to you.
All right, Snappy. Thank you very much for the voice submission. I will link Snappy's channel in the episode notes if you want to check it out. And I want to remind everybody, if you are sending in an email with your audio file, make sure to include a link to your YouTube channel or your podcast or anything, and I'll include it next to your voice submission or video submission or anything. So please don't forget to do that so you can get some free promotion. But with that out of the way, let's talk about your question on whether or not you should split off your channel to different channels based on the content that you're making. I need to start by saying I cannot tell you yes or no. That is a decision that you have to make for yourself. I can say that there have been YouTube gurus for years talking about the difficulty of running variety channels, and that's because of the exact reason that you mentioned. For example, people subscribe to Podcastage for the audio gear reviews. If I were to upload a video discussing the historical parallels between minions from Despicable Me and Nazis, the majority of people would not care about that because they care about microphone reviews and audio interface reviews. They don't care about how evil and horrible and reprehensible the minions are. They don't care about that, so I should not upload that content to that channel. But if I were to upload that video to Podcastage, what would happen? YouTube would distribute that video, me discussing the minions, to my subscribers. Being that my subscribers are not expecting that content and do not want that content from me, they will not click on that video. What does that tell YouTube's algorithm? That video sucks, that people don't like my channel, and they will recommend my following video even less. So you will ultimately fall out of favor with the algorithm based on the content that you're producing. If you have a bad video that people don't click on, that's going to affect not only the video that sucks, but the video that follows. So you have to retrain the algorithm and work extra hard to regain that audience. So a while back, when I started uploading a couple of episodes of the Bandrew Says podcast to the Podcastage channel, I realized I did not want to do that because people weren't interested in it. So it was affecting me negatively in the algorithm, but also I felt a little bit guilty by shoving these long-form content pieces down my subscribers' throat. Hey, listen to what I have to say about Google. Listen to what I have to say about Facebook. They don't care. They care about my thoughts and the demos that I make on mics and audio interfaces. That's why I decided to split off all of my channels, because I want to ensure that I am giving people the content that they subscribed for. And that's my take on it. Hopefully that gives you some insight and some ideas of how to think through splitting off your channels. If you're doing tutorials on Minecraft while you're also playing Minecraft, absolutely that could stay on the same channel. But if you are doing tutorials on how to edit a Photoshop of, I don't know, the Eiffel Tower, and you're making gameplay on Minecraft, then maybe split those off. You got to do some thinking and analysis of what you're doing and try to understand who your audience is and how you can best serve them. Then you ask the question, does YouTube make it easier for you to monetize new channels if you are already monetized? Maybe if you are super famous and very large. Maybe they do then. But me? No, not at all. You still need to get that 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. If you have an existing audience, you may be able to cheat a little bit. I try not to do this too much, but you are able to create posts and repost videos that direct to that new channel that can draw your existing audience to that new channel to get those watch hours and get them to subscribe. The reason I don't do that as much is because the exact same reason why I don't publish videos on Podcastage where I talk about watches or where I talk about Alex Jones being banned or anything, because I don't want to force those topics down people's throat. And also, I don't want to ask people from Podcastage to go and subscribe to a channel that they may not care about. They may go subscribe to it, but then not watch anything from it because they don't care about watches, but I asked them to, so they're just being nice, right? They may be being nice, but they are ultimately hurting your channel if you do that, because they will be people who click on your videos or click on your channel, subscribe to your channel, but then when your videos are presented to them, they don't click on it because they're not interested in it. And it's the exact same issue we talked about before. That tells the YouTube algorithm that your videos suck, that people don't want to watch them, so they are not going to distribute that to new people. They're going to distribute that to less and less people, and it's going to ultimately hurt your channel. So I prefer to grow the channels organically with very little help and redirection from my other channels, because I don't think there's much correlation between microphones and watches, or microphones and screaming about Twitch investigating everybody's past and hiring private investigators to do whatever the hell they're doing. I don't think there's any correlation there. So I'm not going to do that. I do occasionally. I do try to natively, or maybe natively is the wrong word, organically tie them together and recommend them. What I mean by that is, in my reviews, if I have used a microphone on my podcast, I will try to remember to mention that and then link the playlist that I made using that microphone in case anybody wants to hear that microphone on a podcast with processing and longer form context. So I will do that, but I haven't found any organic ways to tie in watches, so I don't really do that. Maybe I should get I should get some watch advertisers to sponsor the unboxing portion or the what's in the box section, and I just need to make sure that you can see my watch. If anybody is interested, because I'm talking about watches, I'm wearing a Lori A Neptune. It's a very affordable automatic watch that it pays homage to a lot of vintage divers, and it's a good looking watch. Lori A, go ahead and advertise with me. And I hate the fact that I just said I hate that I just said I do not say I completely forgot to answer the question. What was the question? Does monetization become easier on the new channels? No. No, not at all. As I mentioned, you still need the 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. The Watchcastage channel, if anybody is interested, watchcastage.com, that will direct you to the YouTube channel. I have been uploading bi-weekly for about 6 months. I started in December, so maybe 5-6 months, and so far I only have 360 subs and about 32,000 views. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I am tremendously happy with that. 14 videos in that time and 32,000 views, that's great, in my opinion. But no, I have not earned a single dollar off of that channel, and I don't expect to for at least another year. And when I do start earning any money off of that, it's going right back into the channel, just like I did on Podcastage. So I won't pay myself out of that channel for probably another 5 years. That's the whole story, and put in the work. That's what it is all about. Just slowly improving, getting better, and providing the most value that you can for the people who are going to be watching your videos. It's what I try to do, and hopefully it shows. If it doesn't, the channels will die. Easy as that. It's a great form of, I know this is going to tick people off. I talked about Jordan Peterson, and now I'm going to say capitalism. It's a free market approach. If my channels suck, they're going to die. Easy as that. And then I can just move on with my life. Hey, I gave it my all. Let's go ahead and do something else. And I will scream into the ether, scream into the nether realm while I speak into nice microphones and keep a couple of them. That's it for this episode. I've got nothing else. Like I said, there was no news. I have been drinking too much coffee and loving every second of it. When your heart hurts, that means it's working, right? That's a good thing. My heart doesn't actually hurt. That's a joke. Regardless, that's the end of this show. Send in your questions. Go to askbandrew.com. I think we made it through November, at least in the emails. I do need to go to the speak pipe and pull those, because I think I'm about October on that. We'll get through it. On slow news weeks, I should continue to do this and work through more questions, and I should clip these questions and put them on a separate channel. But hey, who wants to make another channel? I think I'm at 5 right now. Who needs 6 or 7 or 8? I'm not Jack Sucks at Life. I'm not somebody who can have 8 YouTube channels. That would be silly. Okay, I'm going to wrap up there. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you. I love you. Have a great week. Have a happy Monday. Monday is my favorite time of year. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.